Alright, so welcome back again to Modern Not to Mod. So today, I'm actually lowering my GSX-R750. It's so confusing every time I have to say like S1000 or R750. I don't know why. Anyway, from now on, 750. That should make it pretty clear. So anyhow, in the past you saw me lowering my GSX, which is sitting at like I want to say it's like 2 7/8 drop from original stance and right height. So of course this is for the most part for drag racing purposes. Before I start with this project and I talk a little bit about the specifics, I want to address the fact that I told you guys that I have something in mind about this bike. So in short, there's a couple things. So if you see, I mean, maybe you didn't notice, but this week I removed the radiator and I removed the exhaust as well, with the intention of like fitting a turbo manifold. So that was my first actual idea of this bike. First of all, I don't have a lot of money invested in this bike, so I'm using this bike as my test mule. I'm not gonna flip it. This is gonna be my bike and potentially my racing bike. At some point, I can maybe just take everything out and make it my track bike, or I can just make it my dedicated drag bike. So I'm still fostering with all those ideas. For now, what I'm going to do is to go through the system like I mentioned before, and then just make it rideable. I need sprockets, I need tire, I needed an ignition, I needed a couple of things. So I'm just gonna go through all that. And ideally, I don't want to make modifications to make it faster right away, because it will be cool if I can see if I'm actually improving on the bike, and if I can take it to the track and maybe just run quarter mile and see if maybe the bike is actually faster than this one on the first go. So a bunch of stuff like that. So it will be a cool project for that. So in addition to, I guess, go back to what I was saying about the turbo manifold, there's a lot of like systems and kits out there, and you were to ask anybody, it's a little bit expensive, you know, just to do it. Even if you want to piecemeal it, meaning like just buying this turbo manifold, buying this turbo from eBay, or doing all that, at the end of the day, between fittings, lines, and whatnot, you're gonna be spending a lot of money. So I was gonna take it easy, and it's still maybe a potential in the future that I might go that route. But as things stand for now, I'm going to take it to the drag as soon as I get a chance. I'm taking the 1000 first, and then once I get in a place where I feel like I have tires and I have everything else in my favor, where I feel like it's a strong bike to at least be reliable and safe, of course, I'll be taking it to the track. So for now, I'm just gonna race it. I don't think I'm just gonna make it my commuter bike, and I'm not gonna make it super pretty for now. I will make it pretty at some point, but for now, it's all about taking it to the track. So in order for me to improve my quarter, so a couple things that I'm going to do. I bought this like secondhand, super cheap ProTech lowering links for the bike. So I thought it better after I bought them, and I thought maybe I should have gotten the ones that comes with like stock and 2 inches and 4 inches, but I bought the ones that are 2 and 4. So I'm really tempted to drop it like 4 inches, since I just said it's gonna be my race bike. So I'll be honest with you, I might do the 4-inch drop today to see how it looks, but essentially I think I'm just gonna drop it 2 inches and then see how it works. Interesting thing, if you've never done this before, depending on the bike is the way that the manufacturer, you know, built and the rear suspension, and how the rear suspension is connected to the spring and the chassis. So in this case, it's the lowering link style. In this bike is the triangle. So I mean, based on your bike, it's gonna be either one or the other, and there's some other options. Let's just do it right now. All right, so the 2 bolts you're gonna be removing are these 2. They are 14 on the other side, and then they are 17 on this side. And then the second thing that I like to do is to support this portion right here with a jack, so that way take away some of the weight that the bike is like putting on this bolt by just applying pressure from the bottom with the jack stand. And then the second thing is I can use it to keep, you know, the bike in place when I'm removing the links, and then as a place where I can adjust it up and down depending on where I need the bike to be in order for me to align the brakes. so you don't want to damage the threads, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that these bolts are like seized in there. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm gonna start the couple threads, and then instead of hitting just the bolt, so I don't want to deform it, I'm just gonna start with my router mallet to see if that's enough, just so I can start pushing the bolt to the other side. Okay, what's happening? So I started pushing the bolt from the other side, and there's a sleeve in the middle. Hopefully you can see it. There's a sleeve, this one right here. That sleeve is actually stuck to the bolt, so it's forcing both sleeves to come out at the same time as the wishbone thingy, and then so it's happening the same on both. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and use my trusty brush as well as a toothbrush, and then I'm gonna go ahead and clean it with a little bit of a WD-40 just so I can get the area clean. Just take out the sleeve, clean the sleeve, take out the inside, just like inspect it and see how it looks. And then if everything looks okay, I'll put a little bit of a waterless grease, and then I'll put it back, and we are ready to drop this bike to the ground. Alright, so this is clean. It's cleaning here, and I then cleaned it on the inside. There's like two bearings on each side on both of the holes. So you don't have to necessarily do this, but I'm going to put a little bit of a WD-40 on the bolt. And now I'm going to take the bolt, and I'm just gonna, with a 1500, I'm just gonna sandpaper a little bit, specifically just on this area, because if there was water maybe in here, which is the reason why it was getting stuck, dirt, debris, or whatever, that way I'm just giving this bolt another chance to stay there and maybe, you know, come out easier next time. One thing I will do is to clean the threads. So now this is the bolt. I'm just gonna put waterless grease, and then I'm just gonna put a smear. Another smear of waterless on the sleeve. Okay, sleeve is on. And now I can put this here, and I can take them through. Perfect. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, so the rear is done. The drop is insane. Like, I was not expecting that. I mean, I know 4 inches is a lot, I get it, but wow, I've never seen it before in any of my bikes. So now we're done. Not really. So now we have to do the front. Why? Because if you don't do the front in proportion with the rear, then your geometry on your bike is gonna be, on your chassis is gonna be all the whack. I mean, all the way out. So that means that you're gonna feel like a little bit of an input on the steering wheel is gonna feel like a lot, like your back is like completely not in sync with the front. So we have to do the same. We have to drop the same amount of inches in the front so we can get it in the same amount of geometry. So let's just go ahead and do that. All right, so when we talk about dropping 4 inches in the front, we're talking about I'm just exposing 4 inches on the top of the triple tree. This is the triple tree, and then this piece right here is what's holding the clip-on in place, right? So you to go ahead and undo this bolt, these two, the same on the other side, just so you can start working on, like people say, raising the forks, and by raising the forks you're dropping the bike. It's depending on how you want to look at it, but in this case, yeah, you can raise the forks through the triple tree 4 inches, just so I can get the amount of drop to be equal to the amount in the rear. So one thing that you can get away with when you have clip-ons is you can start by undoing these two, and then you can just control how much and how fast this fork is just gonna go up by just undoing this bolt right here, and then you do little by little, and then you let the fork actually go in. You can do them individually, you don't have to do them at the same time. And then second thing, this fork leg it's tapered, meaning that after this pointing here, this is not gonna fit the opening on the triple tree. So this is how much you can go through. So I'm expecting this to be enough for me to give me the 4 inches, but if I find out that it's not gonna be enough, I might need to go back to 2 inches. So it will mean going back to the rear and then just changing the hole from the 4 to the 2 inches. These two pieces are still holding the fork leg in place. So now I got a 10 for this one at the top, and then I also got a 5mm wrench to undo the clip-ons, because the clip-ons is also helping to keep the fork leg in place. So I'm gonna undo this. I'm not expecting nothing to happen, but I'll be careful just in case. So I'm gonna just undo the clip-ons, which is 2 hex. That's perfect. I'm now gonna try to control how much the forks are going to go up by undoing this one. So I'm just gonna be loosening up a little bit, and I'm expecting to see it go up, and then I'm just gonna stop halfway, take some measurements, and see how much more I have to go. And then I have my 12 in case I don't see any movement. It might be because there's still a lot of tension in here, so I'm just gonna undo that one too. You can see movement. I'm just gonna give a little help. Okay, not a whole lot. Now I'm just gonna put a little more pressure in here again. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna completely loosen this tube up where there's no tension, and I'm gonna manage at the top. Okay, you can tell. Okay, it's moving now. I just need a little bit more. It's actually the one that's holding it back is the clip-ons. Clip-ons still have a lot of pressure, so I put this one again, completely undo them, and I'm gonna bring them down. This is another trick. I can bring them down, then put a little bit of a pressure, and now I can loosen everything up, and the fork is not gonna be able to go past this point. There you go. Alright, so I'm gonna try to do both just so I can move the triple tree at the same time. So now again, I'm gonna do the 12 at the bottom, at least a couple turns. Same thing that I did on the other side. I just dropped the clip-ons. Kind of did the same thing I did on the other side. It's gonna be a lot. I know a lot of people, they don't like this style, and they rather have pipes. So I was mentioning that some people don't like to do this, and they ask if it's better just to have shorter fork legs. Yeah, for sure, it looks better. The problem is that give me 1 second. So that's 3, and I just realized that I got to the taper portion. Alright, it is so hot in Arizona that I didn't realize until, like, I don't know, a couple minutes ago that my recording stopped recording because the camera got so hot that it just turned off. And it's about 108 outside, but it feels like 120 inside of my garage. So this is insane. So potentially you lost a portion of my explanation and a couple things that that happened that I wanted to show up, but unfortunately I was not able to. So what I'm talking about is I had to remove the triple tree because I was not gonna be, the most I was gonna be able to drop or raise the forks on the front was gonna be 2 inches if I had the triple tree at the bottom, because this was preventing this to go lower. So now I removed it. I removed both of the clip-ons. I dropped the triple tree again. I put the nut back, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on top. So by doing this, I'm actually doing 2 things. One is that I'm not gonna be so low, and 2, it actually doesn't look that bad, because when hey, in all fairness, you have to realize I have no fairings. It's very noticeable. So on my 1000 is not a whole lot, just because I have it's only like almost 3 inches, but then I have the triple tree like this, which I can do still. I can do this depending on how I feel when I get on the bike. So for now, I'm just gonna leave them like that. Take measure. I'm expecting to see 3 inches from the top of the triple tree, 3 and 3/8 at the top, 3 and 3/8. Perfect. That's awesome. So now they both look the same. So now what I'm going to do is going to tighten this. I'll do it by hand first, and now I'm gonna do the same on this side. If there's any bolts that are like torqued on my bike, are these. I'm not gonna do it just now. I'm more concerned with just adding a little bit of a tension for now, just so I know they're not gonna go away. They are in about the same position as the last one. I'll do it in a better way later. I just want to know, at least for now, I'm not touching. I'm touching because it's good, and voila! Now we're done. All right. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't hate it. It looks amazing. Yeah. And check this out now. This is crazy. So I feel like I have the right position. I can put my foot. It's like, of course, I'm short. I'm 5'6". All right, cool. So this is gonna go back because I mean there's a bolt that holds the radiator in place. So it's not in here, but I'm just gonna take a look. Just checking if there's any concerns with the force coming up and against the radiator, but radiator is not in his final position. It's gonna go back up at least like maybe an inch and a half. So that's fine. Yeah, I love it. I like it. Purpose of dropping the bike, if you don't like them, I'm just addressing this because there's people that they don't understand why. The reason why I'm doing it is just because this will give me a better idea, a better option. I'm sorry, to like go hard on the lunge without having to worry about the bike trying to come up because it has a lot of like ability to like do this. So by limiting that ability, dropping 4 inches is not a bike that you wanna ride on the street. I mean all the time. But since I am mainly making this my race bike, I'm completely comfortable doing it because potentially this bike is gonna go to my trailer and from my trailer to the track. So I am pretty sure, like I feel pretty happy about that. So there's a couple things that I want you to look at or think about when 2 things: doing a project or working on these bikes. Right now, I told you I haven't torqued this bolt. If I don't write that down, I'm just gonna forget, and that's gonna be me an accident waiting to happen. So those are the type of things that I'm just gonna keep track. Just so when I'm doing a once over the bike at some point, I'm just gonna be gathering all the torque specs for the bolts that I've been taking out, including the ones on the on the lowering links. The same for the ones on the fork and the ones in here. So like I mentioned before, once I start like riding the bike, I'll realize if I want this a little bit higher, and maybe halfway through this, and maybe exposing about an inch and so. So for now, that should be fine. Right after I do my tires and my maintenance, I do the plastics, just so I can get them. I mean, I don't want an ugly bike going down the strip, so I want to probably just get some plastics that I can put on, and I would like to look pretty. So cool, that's it. Oh, last thing is the chain. So because of by dropping the bike, you're pretty much extending the rear. So by doing that, you're adding pressure to the chain. So I now have to go ahead and adjust the rear axle adjuster, just so I can bring them closer to the chassis or closer to the swing arm, and that way I'm just gonna bring some of the slack back to the chain. So that's something that I have to do next, but since the bike is not gonna be running, I'm not super concerned. So I will be covering that in the next video. If you wanna know how to adjust your chain, specifically on this bike, which is transferable to any bike, just take a look at the video. Again, thank you for all the comments. And just keep an eye on the website. Still working on the map. I just make a couple findings on the map on the 1000 to improve the cruising ranges. So that's what's coming next. I've been riding almost like on a daily basis and trying to make tweaks, but it is so hot in Arizona. Like, it's been averaging like 111 every day. So and it's about to be the same this next week. So it's just hot, and so I'm just waiting for it to cool down a little bit. But I'm going racing pretty soon on this bike. So let's just keep an eye out. And if there's anything else that you want to know about this bike, or anything else that you want to know about this process, just add it in the comments. Now, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.